It's Andrea. Welcome to the Bold, Brave and in Business podcast presented by Women with Altitude. I'm so excited about our guest today. I'm actually recording this post chat with Jenni Tarrant from Bond Hair Religion in Kingston in Canberra. Jenni is a 40-year veteran hairdresser. She's had her salon for 22 years and she's a multi-award winning entrepreneur, and her hairdressing salon is just the start of a customer experience that is quite extraordinary. Full disclosure, I have been a client in her salon. It is an amazing experience. But actually, I've known Jenni for a few years now, and she's just so inspiring. Her attitude, the way she approaches things, it's no wonder that she continues to acquire the accolades. She's an Order of Australia medal recipient. She's also started the Tarrant Foundation, and we had a really inspiring chat. I would love to share with you now, and let us know in the comments if you're inspired as what I was when I chatted with Jenni. Jenni Tarrant, welcome to our podcast. How are you?
I'm really well. Thanks, Andrea. How are you? Gorgeous.
I'm very well, except we were just talking just before we hit the record button that you've broken your wrist.
I have.
Yes. And what is the universe telling you?
To slow down and stop. But like most of us, we might have a day off, but then at the end of the day, it's like, I've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Even broken bones won't stop you.
You're one of the most driven people that I've ever met. And I mean that totally from the heart, because you're just so inspiring to so many people that we've had the fortune to come across. I'm so glad that you're in or part of our community, because I know you've inspired lots of women. The thing is, you see, you're an award-winning salon. You won an award on Monday night, the ACT New South Wales Hairdresser of the Year. You won on Monday night.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
But people see that's the glossy side, right? That's the glossy side. But you've been in the hairdressing industry for like 40 years. Yeah. So is it 20 years now?
Yeah, 22.
22. Wow. Okay.
It's a long time.
It is a long time. So what drove you to start Bond Hair Religion? Can you talk a little bit through that? Because for those listening, it's a hairdressing salon, but it's really not a hairdressing salon. It's a little bit like, I don't want to actually, but it's not the same, but it's a bit like Women with Attitude. It's a women's business network, but it's actually so much more than that, right? And you're the same. It's not just a hairdressing salon where you come and cut your hair. Do you want to share a little bit of the philosophy of what you wanted to do?
I was given the opportunity by my old boss. I worked for her for 10 years and she offered me to buy the business, and I never thought I'd want to own a business. So I took it on, and some discussions with my husband, and I had absolutely no idea what I was taking on. I was pretty clueless. And I think I've made every mistake that any human could ever make in a business. And I have learned from so many, which has got me where I am today. And the philosophy of our business is all about, sure, we cut hair, but it's about having a safe place where you feel heard and cared for. That's what it's all about. For me, it's my team. That's what they need to feel from me. The clients need to feel that from them. So that all comes down to training, consistency, and all the things that you need within a business. But I've learned some incredibly valuable lessons, and I've redone them over time, and then finally got the kick in the pants that was sort of like, Jen, it's clearly not working, so you need to make some changes. And I think the greatest gift that I've realized is that how the things show up in my life is how they show up in my business. Because as a woman, our family and our business are very similar. So if we're fighting the same demons or the same issues within our lives, more than likely we're facing the same things within our business. So the only person that can change that is by learning.
Oh my God. I love that so much. It's so interesting, because the way I would say, it's like having a child. When you have a business, you care about it so much, and you've just likened it exactly the same way with different words, like having a family, the same as what's happening in your family life. And it's the most, I think, next to having children, it's the most personally growth changing thing that you can do, like transformational and thing that you can ever do, because you're it. At the end of the day, for everything. Yes, you've stepped straight into a CEO, entrepreneurial, creative role that you aren't trained for when you start out.
If you've got, fear in your personal life or fear from programming from your childhood or whatever it might be, unless you address those things, that will be the fear that will come up in your business. My thing was about feeling like I needed to be loved. And so what I did was I attracted takers into my business who just took and took and took. And then, of course, they basically became the people in my life that had betrayed me and done all of that. So that was pattern just kept continuing through my business. So that was a huge learning and growth for me, that until I make the changes within myself, my personal life and my business life will be on the same trajectory. You can't
Yeah.
have, as a woman, we can't separate our passions and our vulnerabilities from our personal lives and our business life. So, yeah.
Yeah, I so agree. So eloquently put. Now, I want to circle back to a couple of things that you
Sure.
said. You said you made like all the big mistakes. Can you think about something that a big mistake that you felt that you made that you really learnt from, and what was that?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely the world's biggest people pleaser, which I thought was something that was a lovely characteristic. But over time, I've learned that it's actually so detrimental. People who just want to take all of that and leave you really vulnerable and just hanging out there, and you attract takers in your life instead of people that are willing to meet you halfway. And until you stop the people pleasing, you're never going to attract the people that you really need in your life. So that was huge for me. I would shut my business for a week, fly my entire team to Bali, pay for everything. And then there'd be one little thing and they'd say, oh, that was pretty crap. Instead of, that was so amazing. Oh my God, I want to work harder for Bonds. No, of course, they'd go, okay. In 6 months, they go, oh, I think I'm going to move on to another salon. And I think, wait a minute. Took you all to Bali, and again,
Yes.
that was about
Yes.
me. What I thought if somebody did for me, I would be so dedicated to that person. But that's putting my stuff on them. Like, time did I ask them if that's what they wanted?
I
I
can
just
so
thought
relate.
absolutely that they would love that because I'm doing it for them, whereas that was my need, not theirs. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was
100%.
a huge one.
Reforming, I used to say reformed, but it's reforming people pleaser right here. So I'm right with, I think it's a forever healing thing. If that's one of your big patterns in life, it's definitely been one of mine. And I'm the same. We had the same. We've had women with altitude who, we've invested so much time and energy and done so much promotion and help and put them on covers of a magazine. And it's like, I'm not going to be a member. It's not enough or whatever. And you just think to yourself, wow, like, just how
Yeah.
easy, but you're right. It's about making sure that we have really good boundaries. When you realize that about your team, that you were people pleasing with your staff, when you realized that, what did you change? Because obviously you recognize the people pleasing, but how did it
Yeah.
change externally?
So basically, I just had to really pull back. I had to sit down in front of my team at a team meeting and be very vulnerable and explain that a lot of the reason I do what I do is because it's a need in me and it's not actually about you. And that for me to be the most successful and best the boss that I could be was to meet them 50-50. So basically, I put in place that it's a bit like a car race. If you only fill your car up with half a tank of petrol, then you're only going to go halfway. If you fill it up and you look after your car and you give it everything you've got, then you're going to be able to win the race. So with my team, I basically say, okay, I'm good with the person who comes to me and just wants to work 9 to 5 and does a great job in their work hours, but
Yes.
you get paid for that. And that's the swap. It's a job. You do your job. I pay your wage. That's the swap. So what we actually do is each year we sit down, we do a 360-degree feedback where everybody in the team rates each other. It's not about people personally. It's about how they perform within the work environment. They don't have their names on it, so they can be completely honest. And then I sit down individually with them and we do a full written appraisal where we set goals. Now they
Mhm.
know that each goal will give an amount to. So we go, okay, well, your goal might be to learn a bit more hairdressing that's going to take you to the next level. Okay, that fits within your job descriptions. If you want to achieve like going to hair festival, which we just went to on the weekend, and me funding that so you can learn more, that might be, okay, that's your 25%. So what can you do for me to match my 25%? So it's about
Brilliant.
what you can get. So the next one's 50 and the next one's 100. So they set their goals about what they do to give me back what I'm willing to give them.
Brilliant.
Just
Yeah, it's
matching each other.
buy-in, right? It's buy-in and it's
Yeah.
matching and it's them taking responsibility. It's like there's a willingness here to support me and to do things, and I'm willing to help in this way. And then they're feeling valued. And that's separate from their wage, which obviously the compliance of wages and stuff, which you're automatically doing. But this is how a team that obviously retains, you've retained your staff with this way. They stay with you, have the staff loyalty. That's one of the outcomes.
And I think what's great is you're going to get the people in your team that are those absolute legends who turn up, give it 100% during the day, go home, don't want to invest anymore. You know, they've got other things in their lives, so they're just happy to do the 9 to 5 or that's not really hairdressing hours, but yeah. But then you've got the really driven ones. So, for example, Amber, who's my manager of my business, also my colour director, wanted to win Australian Florist of the Year. Now, to do a photo shoot in our industry, to enter these types of awards, you need stylists, makeup artists, the best photographers, models that are $1,000 for half a day, all the rest of it. She needed to be selling more retail, doing higher figures, matching her targets, doing all that sort of thing, but personally investing in bond as well and being a bit of a noise creator in our social media and things like that, which she did to 100%. So I paid for her to have this photo shoot and she won Australian Colourist of the Year.
Amazing. Great example.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. So not everybody's going to want to be, they're not driven, but for those that need that, they can set those almighty goals. For those that just want to spend one day with one of their mentors in the industry and do a hair up course or whatever, that might be $500. That might be a 25% goal. And I'll set that for them. And if they've reached that, then absolutely I book them in and they spend the day with their mentor. So they're the sort of things that I do. And what it's nice is that everybody in the team knows. I mean, you're still going to get the people who go, and if I hear that, I say to them, oh, so we're just going to get out your appraisal here and look at the goals and what you said. And what you said was that you were only willing to go 25% extra. And that's okay. And I'm good with that. But understand that if you want what Amber got, that's 100%.
Yeah.
So it's up to you.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, do staff do that? Because human nature. So thank you for sharing that example, because they clearly, sometimes they do. The envy of seeing, in this case, Amber achieve, does it help them to realize that they want to do more and they can adjust those goals the next time that the appraisal's on? Do they do that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're always, victim mentality in people that are, but that's how you want to live your life. That's great. I've got it in black and white. You chose not to do that. It's up to you. But people who, they do go, oh, well, actually, I think I'm going to step up. What do you think I need to do to get to that? So when we sit down and do that, we set those goals and they've got them at home and they know what they need to do or not do. Human beings as an employer, you're also mentoring these people to make choices that are better for themselves. And that was another thing that I do. I used to always think that everybody was as passionate and driven as me. And then I'd be disappointed when they weren't. And of course they're not. I want them to see what it's like to be the best in the industry and stuff. And because I have that passion, it's really hard to not understand how somebody else might not want that,
Oh, I totally understand that. I understand that. Because, we've talked about this. That's what we want from Women with Attitude. We're trying to lift everybody up. And in that cutthroat thing of business, there are people that just cannot compete, that can't be possible. Because it's got to be, win-lose kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I really understand. But you're right. It's okay for them to have that philosophy and that's their thing. It's not our thing. Yeah. Not to take on board.
What am I doing that would mean that that person wouldn't see the value in what we're doing? And it's actually got, how arrogant of me to think that I have control over how they feel. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
All their life, they're going to make choices and some of us will shake our heads and go, what were you thinking? But that's their journey, just like the one I'm on.
Yes, so I constantly have had that over the years too. And you're right. And a lot of people I'm mentoring sometimes will also go down the rabbit hole of making it about them when a customer moves on or whatever might happen, right? And actually, it's got nothing to do with them a lot of the time, and I've definitely learned that over the years of Women with Attitude. As people drift away, they come back and it's wonderful. But the reasons that they left was because of other things. It's not because of you. Do you know what I mean? That was one thing I had to really learn. It wasn't because of me or anything necessarily that I had done. It was just what was going on for them at the time. Because when you're people pleasing, you take all that personally, right? You think every rejection is a rejection of you. It's complex, but it's so true, I think, about how it showed up in your business.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's realizing it's disrespectful to somebody else's journey to think that you know what they need. And
Yes.
that was something, once you put it in those words or those terms, it makes you think twice about the choices that you make
Yep.
instead of like, I want them to be amazing and I want them to learn and I want them to be passionate. Okay, so I have in myself that I need to fit because that says more about me than it does about them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's therapy, really. It's what we're talking about is therapy and self-development. And it's a big one that we've just dived straight into the big stuff, which is what I love. The superficial stuff, I'm like straight to the heart stuff. Can
Yeah.
we talk about the philosophy of and the design around your client experience? Because you've been open and you've documented, like you had a traumatic background in your
Mhm.
life, like growing up. And we know that we all have had baggage that we carry that is what makes us people pleasers or what makes us have these belief systems that we carry into our businesses that we need to work on. But wanting to be safe and feel heard and seen in a hairdressing experience is a level that I think most hairdressers or even businesses aren't thinking in the same way you are. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I think at the end of the day, I've also realized whether you're the best cutter in the world or whether you're the best colorist, a lot of time people come because they want the interaction. You know, one of the big things we're missing in our world is people to feel like they're part of something, part of a
Yeah.
journey. They feel, even when you walk in and they might go, "Hey, Andrea, great to see you back." Like the fact that they remember your name, that just doesn't happen anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And for me, I wanted to make sure that I had a space where, you know, the five senses were looked after. I have little hand towels. I get Australian essential oils because they make you feel fresh. So you can wipe the day away before we even start the consultation. We have a two-page drinks menu that's all complimentary, and then there's little nibbles that go with that. So it's all about the taste and the, you know, so it's about the five senses, a beautiful space to be in, the music that I play because of the age range of our clients. So people have lovely memories associated or sad memories associated with music, but it allows them to be emotional. So that was something that was really important because that's part of who I am. I'm very much about you feel when you walk in and what you see. And yeah, so that I built that into our experience because I think that instantly makes people's anxiety feel less. From the moment you
Yes.
walk in, they know that they're going to be seen by one of our salon coordinators who's going to take them through to a chair that's going to be pulled out. The gown's going to be put on a certain way. The menu's going to be opened. The experience is the same as much as I can make it every time because that takes the real fear away. I know myself, you know, if I walk into a space and they say, take a seat, there's 28 chairs, instantly I go into anxiety of, okay, which seat do I sit in? Am I going to look like a dickhead if I sit in the wrong seat? So
Yep.
straight away, it's like not having that. Someone will guide you to your seat. So you know exactly where you need to. So it's all of those things. It's
Yep.
about feeling a certain way when you walk into the space. And then, yes, we're educated well and we do great hair. But at the end of the day, if somebody says at the reception team, that was an amazing experience, that's a goal for me. I so relate.
I so relate. Because it's the same even with altitude and our intention. And it's about leaving that space. It's about how you feel when you leave our space, when we've gathered together at any time. It's like, do you feel that your cup is a bit more full? You know,
Yeah.
do you feel like, oh, that was great and I loved being there and that was a really good thing? Like, then that's a win for me. You know, I'm
Yeah.
the same because
Yeah.
there is so much anxiety running. There is so much stress running. And what you said before about community, people are craving that because I think I was reading something the other day around religion and how organized religion has kind of been on the decline, like going to church and things like that. Nothing wrong with people who do that, but there's less of that. So then people are kind of craving community, which is why things like choirs and community crafts and things are having a moment because more people are joining those, I think, because it's giving them a sense of community and some fun and things like that. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. It's amazing that you've got that as part of your purpose of how you've designed your customer experience.
Yes, and I think whether you're like just one individual dealing with clients or whether you've got a team of people, I think every interaction that you have, and that, you know, that's the difficult thing. Like you might be having a really shitty day, but, you know, the client will come in and they'll say, how are you? And straight away, I always teach my team, oh, I'm fantastic. How are you? You know, They don't need to hear. They've got their own life going on. They've got the news in their ear talking about all the horrendous stuff that's happening in our world. What they need to hear is that you're okay whether you are or not. A client just needs to come in and not be hearing, oh, I had a fight with my boyfriend or whatever. Nobody wants that anymore. They want to feel like they can talk about who they are and what's going on for them, because people don't get to do that very
Yeah,
often. So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's very interesting, isn't it? Because there's definitely salon experiences where that is still happening. I have a girlfriend who said that to me. It's like, oh God, she just kept talking about a fight with a boyfriend. And it was just like,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to talk. I just didn't want to talk. She was happy just to read her book because she's so busy. So it's really interesting.
Yeah.
You're just really switched on to people externally and what their
Yeah.
experience is at the heart of Bond and the experience that people have. But you've also done a lot of giving back and community advocacy and things like that. So you've had your Big Wigs loyalty program. You've also created a foundation. Why were those things important? And can you share a little bit about that with us? Were it those things?
Yeah. Well, if you're a business owner and when you go to a hair salon or a beauty salon and when they do something and you feel really good about yourself, because the whole of Bond is about going somewhere.
Yeah.
I was walking into a salon how I would want it. And so same with the Big Wigs VIP program, we've got over 600 members. I've been going to the gym 15 years with my personal trainer, and yet on the gym window, it'll have new people get 50% off if you join and have personal training sessions. Now, I've been going for 15 years and I've never gotten a discount. Loyalty to me deserves something in our program. It's not for new people. All the people that have been with us the longest are the ones that get the rewards. I jumped on that, which is completely opposite to what a lot of businesses do. So if you've been with us for a minimum of 2 years and come consistently between 6 to 8 weeks, you actually get to be part of our Big Week Club, which means you get a $25 gift voucher for your birthday that you can spend on services or products. You get to book all of your appointments to the very best of our ability at the time with the stylist and the dates that you like. And I'll go into that a little bit more. And you get a gift at Christmas. So I've done beautiful little compact mirrors. So you can imagine for 600 people, that's a lot.
So
When you think $25 voucher to 600 people, that's a huge amount of money to the business. But they're also incredibly loyal and committed to Bond and have been with us for so very long that, yeah, it's just the money. I don't do any other marketing. So that's for our Big Wigs. That's it. So with our Big Wigs, usually in March, we send out an email that asks them when they're going away on holidays, who they require to do their cuts, who they require to do their colours, who they require in case that person's full. It's 3 pages. They fill it out and then my reception team book them all in. We don't open the books to any new clients until all of our Big Weeks are fully booked in for a year in advance. So we usually have about 1.2 million in advance bookings for the following year. So
that's amazing.
we have many new clients getting annoyed. So I will come to the front reception because my reception team know that's not their responsibility to have to deal with that.
Mhm.
People will get annoyed with me and I have been called all sorts of names.
Really?
An appointment. Yeah, shocking. And I just say to
Ah.
them, you know what? I understand this. I can hear that it's really frustrating for you, but understand the one gift that I have in my own business is that I can make my own decisions. And this is a really important one for me, that I look after the people that have looked after me. And if that doesn't fit with you, then unfortunately, we're not the business for you.
Yeah. Yeah. What a beautiful way to put it. Because that's
Yeah.
true. And that's honest too. That is 100% honest. That's not a learned tagline of how to deliver that. That is
No.
actually 100% you and true.
100%. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't care if people leave because they're not my people. We get so focused on needing to make the money and keep the money coming in. But if they're not people, they're just going to make my team's life harder. They're just going to make our days harder. We don't need that. If they can't understand what we're doing for our clients, then they're never going to make a big wig anyway.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that we want to rely on. So, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let them go. I mean, I've banned probably 8 people in the years that I've had the salon because they go against our values and belief systems. My team is number one, my clients are number 2. If I look after my team and keep them safe and happy, then they will do amazing work. The money will come. Money is not my prime focus. It's my team. They're number one in my
Yeah.
business. And
Yeah.
if I was by myself, it has to be me, because without you or your team, you're nothing. You're
Yeah.
just a rental space. In my case, there's $16,500 a month for my rental space. And I can't do much with that if it's just me.
So if you're listening to this and you're wondering $16,500 for a rental, and the people in business who are thinking, oh my God, that's insane, who would pay that? Can you give us an explanation? We got to give it context. Not just one shop, it's a whole mall. Do you want to just talk to that?
Yeah, that's. So I have 28 cutting stations. I have 8 basins. We have our own little hole in the wall cafe. It's a very large space.
Yeah.
So
Well, it was an
we have
arcade,
color
right?
bar. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said it was a mall, but it was an arcade. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be 2 shops. We have a public walkway in the middle. So I couldn't actually take over the walkway. So I opened the shop on the other side. And then we have huge sliding glass doors that open up to form one shop. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's our color area, and we have color basins and all of that. So it's a very big shop. So
Yeah.
yes, but the rent, it's not cheap when you're somewhere like Kingston, so we have to make that money to cover that rent. Yeah.
Amazing. So if you were talking to people, and you were a great example, you started out in your business when you took over the opportunity to purchase or buy the salon that you were working in, and you didn't have any business skills per
No.
se, but obviously you've learned them over time. What would you say to people who are in that? Because a lot of our members, we've got kind of people who are either very well established that are now trying to navigate leadership, staff issues and things. And I think you've addressed that really well. But there's a lot of people in our community and cohort that are in that either first, second, third, fourth year where they're still trying to find out who they are and build momentum. What would you say that, like, what are the things that you think people really need to learn or could do in their business in terms of educating themselves?
I mean, you just use the perfect word. You have to learn. Life is business is constantly learning. I'm now in an environment where I've just lost my 5th staff member to the public service because they can earn $80,000, not work late nights, Saturdays. I mean, how do I fight that when you've got kids in their 20s who are saying they've got burnout? As a nearly 57-year-old woman in their 20s, and they're saying to me, I can't do this job anymore. I've got burnout after 4 years. And, that to me just...
I know, Jenny. We're the same. I know what you're saying. I know.
I still do 50 clients a week on the salon floor, as well as run my business and do my foundation and all the other things that I do. So, in my head, I'm like, are you frigging joking? But then it's constantly learning and growing and evolving. And so I have to take that on board. I have to go. So now I say to my team, okay, what about if your goal is to have a Saturday off once a month? And my expectation is that you bring in X amount of dollars. And once you're doing that, we can give you a Saturday off a month. And they just about fall off their chairs.
Yeah.
So it's constantly evolving. What is their need now? What do they need to do? So it's about, I suppose, learning, growing, constantly realizing that things are going to move on, whether you're in that headspace or not. You've got to move with it, or otherwise you're just going to be another one that goes under.
That's really interesting because I think, because it's great. It's a mindset of it's constantly evolving and constantly moving, this business that kind of has the energy of a stationary thing, right? But it's not. Like, this is not my first business, but 25 years I've been on my own, being an entrepreneur and doing businesses, and I'm still learning, I think, at the same rate that I was when I first started out, because now things have changed and are changing. And like when I first started, we didn't even have social media, right? So there's just one department that's evolved that's now become necessary. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a moving organism, isn't it? All the time.
Fast.
And fast. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And
now
so
with
really,
AI, I have no idea. I've never used ChatGPT in my life, but I also know that for me to keep current, I need to. So I need to start getting onto YouTube or going and doing a course or just talking to my young ones. I've got 2 16-year-olds, 2 17-year-olds, and an 18-year-old apprentice. They don't even send me, when they send me something on a message to say that they're unwell for work. When I read it, I know it's ChatGPT, because they wouldn't use those words to save themselves. So they're not even texting me the reason they're sick. They're going, I'm sick, I've got the flu. And ChatGPT says, unfortunately, because of my throat or the evolving nodules or it's something. So,
Yes, yes.
I have to, and, I laugh or I think, oh my God. But then I realize that this is how life is now. And the
Yeah.
only way that I'm ever going to stay present is to learn and grow from that. At the moment, I'm facing a big thing in my business where I decided to be really honest with my team and say to them when I'm 60, I will have been hairdressing 46 years. And I've decided I'm going to put the salon up for sale or one of the team if they were interested in buying it because I like to be very open with my team. And I told them that was what I was going to do. And I've got my manager of 13 years going to be finishing up at Christmas. I've got Mitchell, who's been with me for 12 years, finishing up because he's going to join the police force. So what happened was with me
Really?
moving on,
She's going to join the police force.
they
Wow.
went, they went, oh, so Jen's moving on. I don't really want to stay in a business where Jen's not there. So I'm going to start looking at options for myself. And even though it's still 3 years
Oh,
away,
dear.
I've
Yeah.
got some of my biggest team members leaving me. Now, of course, when that happened, I was gutted. I was like, instantly I fell into that thing of, so I speak up about something I want to do, and then that becomes a big deal. So I gave myself a day to feel sorry for myself. And then I thought to myself, no, they're entitled to do that. The next 3 years, I've got a new and evolving team, which is probably what I need, a bit of a kick in the pants to wake me up and push me back into that space where I need to be a mentor to these people, help them to grow, whereas I've really taken these guys to as far as they can grow. And so it's probably a really fortunate thing that they're going to move on. It means more work for me, but there is a reason why this is happening. So yeah, just take it all on and go, you know what, whatever is happening for a reason.
But you know what's really inspiring to me, just chatting with you today on this subject as well, is your attitude about it, right? It's catching yourself. It's not saying that you don't fall into a heap and have a pity party because everyone does it. We all do that,
Oh,
right? But
I
it's
can't
actually
tell you
going, yes.
how many tears I've cried. I can't tell you how many tears
A
I've
river,
cried.
rivers and rivers, I would imagine. Same as me.
I don't know how many times I've said that it's going
For
up.
anyone
So
listening.
bugger it. I've had enough. Yeah, but sorry,
Yeah.
to your point. Yeah.
No, it's fine. I just find it really inspiring because I just think that you've got this really great attitude because you do get sad when people change their minds and move on. But you're right. It's about what they want and what works for them. And you've taken them as far as you can, really. You've really inspired them to the point that they're now heading off into a different career altogether, which they may have never even have had the courage or the insight to even or passion to discover that passion. So you've inspired so many people. Now, I could talk to you for hours, but I know that you've got lots of things to do. Can we talk about the Tarrant Foundation and what is next for you? Because you're not playing just to retire and you're just not going to be hairdressing in a few years. What is the Tarrant Foundation? And can we give that a bit of a plug and why that exists?
Sure. I have this amazing business coach and she says to me, bond is the brain. It's the brain of my existence. And then the body is me doing hair, but my soul is my foundation. So I think, as you touched on before, I had a fairly traumatic beginning. And so I really resonated with the fact that I was fortunate enough to have determination and the drive and in some instances, a feeling of love within my home, even though a lot of the time it wasn't great. But that set me on a path where I could push myself to be who I am today. Whereas a lot of people in our society, unfortunately, didn't have any basis of love. And I really believe that's why I'm where I am and others aren't where I am, because they didn't get a sense of that love, no matter what they've been through, that with what I've learned and how I've grown, and to see that I've achieved with my background that I can hopefully inspire others or help to raise others up. And so that's what the Tarrant Foundation is all about. So we work with people who are homeless, people who have dealt with sexual abuse, mental health, and domestic violence. which are the core of what my childhood was. And because those things are so personally part of who I am, that was why it was so important that those parts were something that I could really drive forward. So in the 18 months since we started, we have now put 29 children and adults through trauma programs. I've just purchased a defibrillator last night for a group who house drug addicts and homeless people in pods at night. They've had a couple of people who've had heart attacks, so I've got them. We've paid for 10 of their full-time staff to go and have training with Lifeline on how to be a supportive counsellor. So that's the next one we're doing. There's an amazing group that you may know of, Andrea, called OWN, Older Women's
Yes.
Network.
Older Women's
Yes.
Network. Yes. They won an
Yes.
Altitude Award. Yes.
Yes. So we've paid for a year's worth of rent in the hall that they have, and we've paid for their tea, coffee and stuff so that they can have women come to them and they don't have to worry about that. So we've just paid for all of that. But yeah, the Tarrant Foundation, we're all about wanting to find areas where we can help that can make the biggest impact to not only charities and groups that are already doing amazing work, but to make changes and the ripple effect that's going to have on people in the future. So that's what it's all about. That's,
it's wonderful.
yeah.
Well, we'll make sure that we put into the podcast notes today links for people to come and have a look at Bond or see what you're doing, and also the Tarrant Foundation. I could talk to you for hours and hours, but I know you're going to be talking potentially at our next conference that we're doing, and we do lots of work with you, Jen, because you just have that incredible energy of sharing and giving back. It's such a match for the community of Women with Attitude, where we're all lifting each other up. And you really embody that for me. And I just mean that totally from my heart. I'm really grateful that we got to meet quite a few years ago now. And I learn a lot just from hanging out with you. And I've learned more things today again. So thank you so much for being on the Bold, Brave and in Business podcast.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I just want to say thank you for WWA, Andrea. Every single month I'm inspired and I love it so much. And yeah, I just wish every woman in business would come, because I've never been part of a group like this before. There is just never a time where you can't get something. And no matter what's going on in my life, I truly try to make time for that Wednesday morning. It's really good for me. And I love the people that go, and I'm inspired by so many incredible women.
We also all understand, right? Because we're all in different stages, but everyone's going through a similar thing, or you're going through something that I've just been through, or, you're just talking with you today. You've given me different perspectives about things that I'm going through at the moment, So yeah, you didn't have to say that. And yet I really appreciate that you said that. So thank you so much.